to read information from the database, right? So the popular one is your right. So the popular one is called SQL, right? And then we have other ones, coastal query language. There are so many other what you call database query languages. So are we all on this page now? The link I shared you want to
still loading on my side.
Right, so it's using the internet to be able to access this part, right? So this one is a pre-created database for us. The information that we're querying now, it's on cloud already, right? So it's created for us by Microsoft, saved on cloud. So did we do this before? Databases, not it's the other group, right? So we're saying now in a database, when you want to read information within your database, you need to know the database name. We've created a database name, right? Remember when we're creating our own database, what name did we give it? What is the name of our database? When we click registration, that's the name of the database, right? And then inside the database, we created a table, right? What was the name of the table? And then within that registration database, you can have multiple database, what you call multiple tables. And then those tables can have relationships. So it's the same as when you're having in a store we can have, in a store database, we can have at least a table for all of our customers. So you might not want to mix, like let's say the table for your goods and the table for what, you can't have like a table that is mixed. So you can have a table that shows what? The details of what? My customers. And then I can have a table that is the details of what? Of my items that I have, I'm selling at the store. And then I can have another table that shows me the orders that have been placed by customers. So all those tables that we have in your database, they can have relationships. When a client orders something, where does it show? It shows from what? From the items table, okay, what exactly did the person order, right? So it's okay, they ordered this particular item, right? And then on our orders table, it will create what? An order table to say, okay, order number one has been created. Who's our customer? They're on order number one. So client from which table? From the client tables. You get the idea. So on our side for our project, we created only one table because we only needed one. We just wanted to store the user information, the credentials, their credentials. So we created one. But it can expand to in a situation whereby, I think I do have an example here so that we can visualize this. Let me just get a so here we're saying we're using a Azure Data Explorer, which is Microsoft's platform for querying the database, like especially if you're in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, we use this for checking the attacks that are happening within your organization to see which email address, where is it coming from, which email address did it originate from, all of those things, right? So check here, I got my database. So Excel this is called a flat file. Flat file is your Excel, that is like one. You can see I have a table for what? For customers. These are all my customers. Check here, we have what we call the customer ID. Did we not create an ID that's on our database? We said the ID is for what? Uniquely identifies the people within an ID's identifier, right? So uniquely identifying the number, what you call the people that were logging in on our system, the users, right? So that was the ID. So to identify number one, number two, number three, number four. So here we also create a customer ID. Can you see customer ID number 1, 2, 3, 4? So when you're dealing with databases, there will be this thing called the primary key. We created the primary key on our side, right? We went to the first, it was the first column, and then we ticked that box to say, okay, this is our primary key. This is what's going to be unique within our database. This is what we're going to use to identify different users. Makes sense? So check here, we have customer ID 1, 2, 3. So we have how many customers? 6 customers. And then you can see this table has details about our customers, right? Check their name, their phone number, address, city, state, zip, country, and then the notes about this particular customer. You might want to know certain things, friendly but little old school. You know, like those type of, yeah, some of the customers that are really kind of tricky, you know, like when you're dealing with, we have one customer here, one of our clients, you're going to be careful how you deal with it, stuff like that. Bringing in more business to the company, but also very tricky. You gotta be careful with how you deal. So you gotta like put those comments so that whoever comes in after, they get an idea of what type of customer is this one. Let's say the customer is specific things that they need. So this tab here contains all the information about what? The customers only, right? We spoke about the orders, right? Let's see what we have on the orders part. So on the orders table, you want to hear about when you're dealing with databases, you want to hear about, to say, the primary key, right? And then also you have something called a foreign key. We'll expand on that later. So customers table and then orders. Check here, order ID, right? So this is the entire information about an order that happened within our store. First order ID number 1. When did it happen? 2022 0101. Customer ID, can you see? Number 5. And then how do I know which customer is this one now? Customer ID, check here, which is the number, right? Check here on the side. Who's customer number 5? Check. This is customer number 5 there. Here, this side, we're not adding the entire information of what? The customer. So in our databases, we're trying to avoid, you know, having all that information of our customers here, you know, like 5 here, and then we have like all that table again, the information of the, we only use what? The ID, the identifier. So when you say customer number 5, we know who's number 5 because of what? These 2 tables, here's another term now, relationships. So you have a data, we spoke about there's something called a relational database, right? So relational database, these are databases that have relationships. Check here, we have customers, and then we have orders. These 2 are related. How are they related? Because of the IDs, right? So now, and then I spoke about something called a foreign key. So a primary key is the key that is used within that table to identify the entity, right? So here, what we use to identify different orders. What is our identifier? Order ID, right? This is our primary key, which is uniquely identifying what? The different orders that we have here. And then on the customers table, we have a customer ID, which was something that we were using to uniquely identify what? The different customers we had that side. But now, check here, we have customer ID that we are using to identify what? Our customers. So once it's coming, the ID that is used within another table coming from another table that side, here it becomes what? A foreign key. You get it? This is now a foreign at this side. It's coming from where? From the customer that side. But on the customer's table, it's what? The primary key. This side is not what we are using to uniquely identify the orders, but it helps us to identify the customers. So it becomes what? The foreign at this side. So there is a primary key, and then there is foreign keys, different keys. All right. So we get the idea, the relationships between these. So we are simplifying this process. I don't want to have like a table that is full of, you know, I will show you a table. We call it a flat file, right? I'll show you a flat file. Okay, check here the next table now. Okay, order product. Okay, order IDs. All right, we have the order IDs, right? It shows us this is, and then cookie ID. So the cookie ID, each product also will have its what? Its own ID. This is code number, right? ID number. So if we say cookie ID, we have to check on the product table to see, okay, what are you referring to when you say cookie ID number 1? What is that? And then we have the quantity this side. So order products. So you can have a table that is the order products to show it, okay, order ID number 1, right? Cookie ID, we ordered, the order was what? What's the cookies, right? ID 1, we're gonna check in the next table. And then the quantity, we ordered a total of 229. But let's check that side, what are the product IDs? So here, you can see product number 1 is chocolate chip, right? And then you go back here, number 1. So we ordered 229, all of those. Okay. So this is a relationship between these tables. A flat file now. This is a flat file now. We have, check here, cookie name. It has the information of cookie name here. Instead of just grabbing the ID, we got what? The entire information of the cookies, the cookie name, instead of saying cookie ID, per cookie cost, per cookie quantity. We saw that number thinking, what's number thinking there? It was 229, right? Chocolate chip, right? Check here customer ID. Now we bring in the customer ID. If there wasn't, see, customer ID, check here, customer name, phone, address, all of that. Do you really need this information once you have the customer ID? I don't really need that, right? Because once I have number 5, I know who is customer number 5 within my table that side. When I'm retrieving that information using the database, I can easily see that. So this is a flat file. We got too much information that is not really necessary here. We have simplified that here on the orders part, where we had like how many columns, or 3 or 4 columns, but check here. So that's the relational databases where we deal with, we break down these things into different chunks, and then all these tables, they have a relationship. So we're going to create, you see what we see now, we're going to create our own database, and then I'll show you how to query these. We'll try to create our own databases, but now we want to start with an existing database that was created by Microsoft for us. After we're done this, we're going to focus on this. So why, as developers, do we need to know this? You're going to be dealing with databases. Every system that you're dealing with, most of the systems that you're going to be building, they are collecting information. They're going to put it somewhere in a data set somewhere else. If it's a banking side, whatever side it is, it's going to speak to a database somewhere else. So you need to know how a database works. So these are the basics of a relational database. These are the basics of a relational database. So the flat file, this is what most people are commonly familiar with, right? You have a data like this in Excel, and then you deal with like this. But when we deal with databases, there are rules that apply to this. There are terms that we apply to this. So we only simplify instead of having a repetition of this information in one page. We want to shorten that. Okay, so we understand what the basic structure of database is. Coming back this side, expand here where on help there. So there was an assignment that was dealing with doing a research, and then they asked us to, okay, you got to look for methods of collecting data. And then we said, so what assignment they were assignment in module 6 that we spoke about that has to do with conducting a research, and then they said, what method are you going to use to collect information? What assignment was that? Huh? We're not there, but we discussed it. Like we've gone through all assignments, right? Yeah. You were not here. We've gone through all assignments. Yeah, we've gone through the assignments. So what was that assignment? But the idea was that sources of information, where are you going to get that information from, right? So here, there are people that have done this research for us. We have a platform. So your job here is to analyze. Have you ever heard of a job called data analyst? Yeah. Right? So we do have data analysts. This is what they do. They extract data from different sources. They put it into one platform or database like this, and then they start analyzing, picking up the insights from that data. They give that to the managers. The managers make decisions based on what? On that data. And then there's another job role called data scientist, right? people that deal with the statistics. This one requires a bit of some maths, but data analytics, you can get it away without the pro maths. But the data scientist, you need like proper maths into it. So the job now of a data analyst is for us to analyze the databases, retrieve information from the database, understand what's happening within this database. So here we have a software, an application that we built that tracks your partner's movements, right? There are people that, you want to track your woman to see where she is at all times, that data and all of that, all right? Insecurity, stuff like that. But not only for tracking your partner for insecurity purposes, we live in South Africa, right? People disappeared. There was a lady that disappeared when she was going to a night prayer, and then apparently they say she ended up when in KZA, came back again, and then she wasn't harmed at all, and then type of situation like that. Things do happen. So Find My Partner can be like, this is an app to track people, right? For tracking, why am I tracking? I might be tracking just for security reasons, right? You put a tracker in your car, not because there are people that you are looking for the VW out there, right? They are looking for that quid of yours, they want it. So we put a tracker. So Find My Partner, sometimes you can find my key. You want to track your child, right? Your child's movement. Again, so we have the data. There's an app that collects that information, puts it into what? Into that database. So you might want to analyze, maybe to get insights. Maybe like most of the time when you're selling, let's say they're partners that I want to partner with you in terms of like this app. When you are selling this idea of this app to people, you might want to produce the data. What is this thing collecting? Sometimes the advertisers that want to advertise, right? You want them to pay. So we want to analyze our tracking app's data. What is it that is collected? And then how much people are on this database, how much data we've collected, what is their preferences, which places do they go to? Okay, here's one more thing. The Google Maps, it also has a database behind scene, right? So there's an algorithm that will, have you ever seen that when say you plug in a destination on your Google Maps and then it gives you the longest route? When you tap, okay, there's a shortcut, or sometimes it can be a clear route. Now you know, okay, oh man, I need to just go straight like this and then I get to the place. But when you plug it into Google Maps, what it usually does, it might give you like the longest route, go that side, go that side, go that. What they have done on the back end is they're advertisers. For example, the garages. So the Google Maps, what it will do, we pick up an algorithm, says, okay, which one is the closest garage next to it? Which was the closest mall? So they take you via what? The garage that is there. So instead of giving you a dry thinning road, because the garages on the other stores, they are paying them for something for advertising on the back end. So the algorithm will take you through the routes where their advertisers or the other shops close by will benefit from that. So this is what we might be using the app or the tracking thing for data for advertisers to say, okay, this is what we have on our side. If you partner with us, you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's algorithms, they are working behind scenes. So you might want to get into that database, sell that data, or because on Google Maps, most of the time we sign these things, the T's and C's. We don't even read what they are saying and all of that because we are the product, right? How much do you pay for your Google account, your Gmail account, for storage? Nothing, right? Because you are the product, right? As long as you're plugged in, they check your activity and all of that. Okay, enough about tracking, but the entire thing is that once we have that data, we're not just collecting data for no reasons. We need to analyze that data, make sense of it. Who are we selling it to? Who's interested in this data, right? So we want to do that. Just go to the database, analyze, pick up. So we have Find My Partner. We have sample IoT data, Internet of Things, sample logs, sample metrics, samples. So security logs, trend. Let's look at the one that says samples there. Expand where it says samples. And then expand the tables there. And then you can make this thing bigger here. Can you see where there's tables there? So I expanded the samples, right? And then there's tables there. So the icon for a database, can you see the icon? Every time you do database, the icon for database would what? This icon, right? And then check the one for tables. So there's the tables, they expand. And then the table that we're looking for, they expand the tables. All right. Can we see? Now, this is other data that was collected, right? We have different tables there. ATX conferences, all right? And then COVID-19. So all of the, you remember last time where that year of COVID, the minister was usually every time updating the public about the number of people that have been infected or the tests that have been done. So maybe this data is going to a database, keeps on like that. So how are they collecting that information? How do they know that, okay, this is the number in a country, in a region, in a province? You go to a clinic, the clinic will record the test that came out positive or negative, right? So they put that within this clinic's database. From the clinic database, they need to report to whatever, right, within that province. That part province, then they also need to record their data into what? Into a database within that province. So until the whole country has what? That information of, okay, this is the actual number of people that have tested positive within our area, right? COVID-19. But so cybersecurity issues, the company, we can collect that. But the one that I want us to focus on, these days we do have like a lot of storms, right? In the world, there's so much of storms that are happening, right? The tsunamis, there's so much that is happening. Even in South Africa, like we used to have these, like after like the floods, you will see this after how long? After years, right? Like after a long time. But now look at when were the last floods, and then before these floods, there was another not a long time ago in Durban, right? So you can see there's climate change and all of that. So now we want to focus on the storm events. There are different types of storms, but expand on that. Let's see what we have there. So data depending on where it's from. Steve Compare said like it depends with where you're coming from, how you pronounce it, right? So to check now, we have storm events, population data, storm events, and then these other ones. Okay. So these are actual files, and these are the actual tables now, right? Yes, sir. I want us to expand storm events one. Let's say working for which government deals with this, which analyzes this event, the storms, the population. Okay, let's deal with the storms. Which government sector focuses on this? Agriculture. Okay, let's say you work for the Department of Agriculture, right? So we just want to look at maybe the previous storms and all of those, and then see. The thing is that with data analytics, we can even predict, right? Statistics, we can predict. So prediction is us using the previous data to analyze the possibilities of this thing happening again, right? So we just look at the previous storms, how long or how many times it has happened, and it happens after how many years. My mom is a farmer by profession, so like not even like just being by profession, generally like the farmers, they can easily tell, okay, when the rain is going to start, maybe this year. What they usually do is they look at the previous years and be like, okay, last year it started around this time. How many people grew up in the village here? I grew up in the village, right? Like, yes. So 100%, I know these things. We'll tell you, okay, we're starting to plow like this year around this time because of what? The 3 years previous data to say, okay, last year started this month, last year started this, and then all of those. So we were using that So statistics is not new to us, just that we didn't know that it was statistics by then. But that is statistics whereby we're looking at the previous data to predict the possibilities of this event happening again. I think we did talk about these statistics. There was a time where we were looking at the events, right, and saying, okay, you've run different events, you know what to expect this year because of those numbers, right? So now we want to look at that via using the data that's existing here. Okay, let's expand that storm event. So did we not do this? No? No. Okay, so check here. So this is the name of the table, right? On our side, when we developed that project, our name of the table was what? Our own database. The name of the table, right? The name of the database was what? Registration. The name of the table. So what's the name of the database? This one. So you see the name of the event, the name of the database by the container, right? They say check the container there at the top. Where is the container? So you see the container there. So the name of the database is what? Right? And then the name of the table? Storm events, right? And then inside the table, on our side, how many columns did we create on our database? We created, it was 3, like one for customer for ID, the other one is for username, the other one for password. So those were columns. We gave them names, right? The first one was what? What do we call it? Is it ID? The second one was what? Username. Third one was what? Password. So check here. This is our database. Let's say sign up, and then these are columns. You see, these are columns. And then there was a time when we were dealing with our database, we had to change our database from varchar, integers, and all of that. So the first column was what? Integers, right? So we said strictly we want what? Numbers. Our ID is numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going down, right? Check here. Real is a float. A float, what's a float? Any number with a decimal point, for example, 10.06, something like that, right? And then begin location is a string. What is a string? So we have characters, right? A character is your A, B, C, D. Right? Those are characters. But when we put together the characters, once it makes a word or a name, it becomes what? A string. For example, medicine, that's a string, right? It's a number of characters put together. We have the M, the E, the L, U, S, I, all of those are characters put together. It becomes what? A string. So here, the database, so there are people that call database engineers. So we have done all parts of these jobs. The first part, we were database engineers. We decided which type of database we were using, right? We went for XAMPP, and then that's the database we use, right? And then after that, we decided what information is going to be stored in each column. We say on column ID, we only wanted what? Integers only. When we switch to username, what did we specify? Varchar, right? To say various characters. It can be a mix of what? Someone, when they want to use their username, they can use characters, they can use numbers, they can use different things to make up what? So we call that varchar. So you decided what? So on our side, the username, it said what? Varchar, right? So this side, and then we had the password. The password was also varchar, right? Because we say sometimes people mix these for the, right? So we have the real, we have the damage crops, integers. Integers are like numbers, right? With no decimal point. For example, when you're dealing with, when you are developing a website that collects, maybe you're going to find out how old this person is. For example, if it's an integers, it will give me the actual age of that person, right? To say, okay, he's 27 years old. But if I'm using a float or a real, it will say if 27 years, 6 months, and 15 days. We see that's a float, right? because it's going for comma something, comma what? The month, the days. That's a float, right? But when dealing with days, do I need that? I just want to know how old you are, the months, the days. I don't care about that. And then, but when I'm dealing with money, let's say you're developing an app for NSFAS, right? You're the one who calculates, the app automatically calculates how much this person is going to get. What are you going to use there? Is a float or an integer? If I use an integer, that means whatever cents that are underlying on the side, they're coming to me, right? Whatever cents, if you are getting like the cents for, like, let's say 1 million students at the end, yes, like that's proper money. So that's the problem. So that means for us to be able to, so you got to know what are these, when to use them, the data types as a developer, right? You got to know which one is for these mathematical or science. When we're doing anything that is to do with science measurement, in science, those comma something is very important. Like when it comes to weight, right? If we say 24 kg point something, that point something is very important, right? Especially for the doctors, for nurses, for them to be able to give you the amount, the correct amount of whatever. Let's say you're a gym or somebody, so they might want to get the correct weight or the correct amount of the data that we collected, right? So scientifically, we want the float. But when I'm dealing with, let's say you are booking a day, just like a BNP site. Maybe I want to know how old you are. I don't care about the months and the days and all of that, right? I just need the actual age. If it's a school, let's say UNISA, you're applying, they just want to know how old you are now, 27, 30, 35. We don't care about the days and months. So you get the idea. So, and then so you control it. Database engineers, they create this. They control, even the security of the database, who has access to this? Those are engineers. So we have database engineers, we have database data analysts, right, or data engineers. So they'll call them database engineers or data engineers. They're dealing with controlling this, the setup of this, right? And then let's look at, so depending on the systems, IT is like, or development, they're not consistent in terms of naming things. So check here, real, we said, what's the other name for real? Float, depending on the language that you're dealing with. Check here, on JavaScript and on our database, we have something called varchar, right? We said it means what? A mix, right? A mix of characters. Check here. Instead of varchar, you see what we're using? Dynamic. Dynamic means what? Varchar. Others characters. So when do we use the varchar? When do we use the varchar? Passwords, usernames, and also varchar, we use it also when in your website, when you want to leave a box for people to comment. Have you ever seen like where they say add comment on our website? So when I don't want to control that to say integers only, you can't comment normal numbers, right? I can't say, okay, date, you can't comment the date only. So what I will say is, I'll say varchar or dynamic to say, okay, on this day, I came to your premises, right? Day, that means there's a date data type, right? And then the string within it. There's so and so, and then the number, maybe say, okay, 20 queries that were not resolved. So you see, on dynamic, I'm allowing people to add what? A number of different data types. So it's the same. Other databases, they will say what? Varchar. Other databases will say what? Dynamic. So there's no really consistency in terms of naming. It depends. Python may call it a real, a float might call it a real, Python may call it a float. And then JavaScript, when you go to JavaScript, you find that they call it what? A real. So depending what language you use, but all means the same thing. And then JavaScript will say varchar, and some databases or some languages will say dynamic. We get the idea now, right? So this is our database. So now we want to read what's inside this database because we said these are what? These are columns, right? So meaning that columns, under columns, what we have with data in there, right? There's data in there. So check, let me take you back to Excel. Let me take you back to Excel. So these are columns, right? Under columns, we have data. Can you see that? We have different columns. So that side, what you see is the names of the columns. And then under those columns, there's what? There's data. And then in database, the columns, we call them what? A field. A field, right? Columns are called a field. And then what about the rows? The record. The rows are record. Because when I say go to my database and pull up to this record, it means that all the entire data or information about Tutuzel, I need that from that particular database. Meaning, can you see a field contains what? Information about a record, information. So sugar, that's the cookie name there, and then revenue, and then all of that. So when I'm saying pull up the, what you call this? Sugar. It means I need what? The entire data set for sugar. You get the idea? Yes. That's the record. We know we used to this like a record. So when you're talking about record, you're talking about that entire information about the entity. So this is not new. A field is just a column. All right. So now let's come back here. Well, let's come back here now. We want to read what's inside the database. But in Excel, it's easy. What you do when you want to read what's inside Excel data, spreadsheet, we just click, we open it, it shows us the data inside, right? But now this is a database. We need a language to query. Querying is like asking or pulling information from the database. So we use languages to query a database or to read information from what? From a database. So now what we need is we want to read what's inside this database. We want to read what's inside this database. So what query are we going to use? So the language that we're using is called what? Custom query language, right? KQL. It's a Microsoft language that they use here for querying this database. We use the Data Explorer. So now what you do is you type in the name of what? The table. Type in the name of the table. On this area, can you see this area here? This is where we type in here. What's the name of the table? This thing is also case sensitive. So you see, it's also what you call, it has IntelliSense. It looks similar to Visual Studio Code, right? This is what we're getting on Visual Studio Code. You can even click the minute it says Storm Events and it gives you a name, you can even click that and then it will complete it for you. So, right? So now just type in the name of the table there and then make sure that the capital letters is case sensitive if you follow exactly the casing there. All right. So here is the other database is here. They will say execute instead of run. So running or executing is you executing the script that we've written down here, the query that we've written down here. Can you see? We have written what? Storm events. What do we want? By that, we're expecting the database to display what? Everything inside what? Storm events. Click on run there. So it will go through. You're getting an error? Yeah, that spelling is there. Spelling.
Capital letter S.
Capital letter S, yeah.
The rest is small letter.
No, E, capital letter E for events. Yeah. So check here now. So we have Azure Data Explorer. We have what we call relational database management systems, right? So this is our platform now, RDBMS. So Azure Data Explorer, this is what we are using to access what? The actual database. So this platform is the one that allows us to. So this data here is stored where? On Microsoft Cloud. Talk about, we said yesterday, today we're going to focus on cloud. So this is stored in cloud. So we're retrieving something that is on what? On the cloud servers. Yeah. All right, storm event. You can see because of an in network, like the slow is still trying to go through that, right? Because remember now, we're pulling up something that is on the cloud server. So if your network is not strong like mine, you see now it's still trying to open the, you see. So those that have better proper networks, if you're using your own network, then you should have. Anyone here who's their side is done? It's done. How many records there does it say? On the file, where it was, you see where it's processing on my side, usually to give you number of records. Got uzuma yabo. Amanamba yamshaya. 59,600 what? Or 59,066 records. I can't tell in counting. So yeah, now we are, so on our side, when we're creating our own database, we're going to need another DBMS system, right? Relational Database Management System, like Azure Data Explorer here, that allows us to communicate with the database. 59,066 records there, you can see, right? So we have those records. So that's what he was reading there on his side. It gives you error. You need to read the error. What is it? Is the error network time error or is the error of, what's the error? Tape operator, it means whatever you wrote there. And then the other thing that you need to check them. Can we see what it says help.samples at the top there on my side? It means that we are connected, we are communicating with that database currently. All right, you got it right there? All right. All right. Only you're winning. Like, so if it is network errors, give me an error that communicates, okay, this is the network error. This is what you see this way. Yeah, you can spend it.
Because of that control, not control.
It was completely different. Table operators that one children. So it has to refer to those containers, to those databases. All right, so they were getting an error on their side because check here. Can you see where it says help.samples? Hey guys, are we following? You see where it says help.samples. So it means that we are actually communicating or retrieving data from this database. On his side, it was saying help.what cells. So when he's typing storm events here, the database is checking or looking for the tab where on contoso cells on this database. So here it has to pick up that. How to make it pick up that? You select the actual database that you want to deal with. Then if I select here, can you see it changes to what? Help.contoso cells. If I select there, if I go to contoso cells, you see it what it does. It changes color to black and then puts a squeaky red line there to say, I don't understand this. But if I change to samples there, it changes color to what? Whatever, that's pink or purple, whatever that color is. It says, I understand what you're doing now. I can see this on my database. So the key is which table are you looking for this data from? You get the idea? So even when we change to SQL databases, you will see you might face the same similar issues. Okay, so now I want to show you that if this thing is case sensitive, if I change this to a small letter S, you see what it does there? It says, I don't know what this is. I don't have this table on my side. The minute you see the squeaky lines and then the color goes to black, whatever you're doing, you say, oh, I don't understand this, right? So now I can change that to what? Capital letter S. So number one, we have done that. And then also, okay, we're done with this first part. So you can see, check at the bottom there. These are the columns, right? These are the columns for where were we were on this part, right? Where storm events table, right? It will show all the begin latitude like they are there. If you start time, end time, episode ID. So this is the data under these columns. You can see more details information if you expand there, but this is the data under these columns. Start time, where is the begin latitude? You can see there this side. If begin location, end location, begin lat, can you see there? And then it says real. Can you see on begin latitude it says real? Can you see the data under there? 38.5, 34.48. Those are the floats, right? So, and then where is the part that says episode narratives? Do we have episode narrative here? Episode narrative, can you see it says string, right? Check there on episode narrative, mostly dominated by what? By strings. So we control, the part where it says date, can you see the first one, start time says what? Date and time, right? Or some that say date time. Can you see where it says end time is what? Date time, right? So all of these columns, what you see there at the end as data type, the real is the float or is it like 38 point something, 48.0, all of those numbering. Okay, so we controlling that via so the data engineer controlled that when they were designing the database, stating what is it that can be entered under that column. So check here, the disadvantage of mixing these. So for example, guys, if you can't see here the what you call the columns, you can expand them via these. Can you see there? You can drag this to the side. If you really can't see everything there, you can even move this to the side, mouse over there to the edge of the line. And then also here, if you need more space, you can even mouse over here. You can do this. You can see that. All right. So we have typed in one. Where's my Shandy stay? Where's my tool? So now we know what we need to do just in case you want to read what's inside the database, right? Let's say you don't want to see all these 59,066 records. You only want to see 10 records only, right? So that means you want to filter based on, like, you want to control how many data does it retain back, right? Instead of 59,066 is the entire records within this database. I only want 10 now. I only want 10, right? So we can write another statement. So storm event, and then there is, let's put a pipe. We know what a pipe is, right? It's a straight line there on your keyboard. It's on top of enter there. So that's the pipe there. So the pipe is, we are saying now, storm event results. I want the storm event. So storm events, what will it do? It gives me everything within the database, right? And then I put a pipe. And then when I put a pipe, I want to say take what? Take 10. Right? So the take 10 is not filter, it's not filtering or sorting based on a specific condition. The take 10, it goes through what? The database, and only pulls what? 10 randomly. But if your data is in order, it can follow a certain order, right? But if your data is like, there's no specific order, so it just pulls randomly 10. It's not saying I'm picking what? Top 10. I'm picking what? Bottom 10. It's just pulling what? 10. So storm event, and then pipe is for me to write another statement, right? So storm event, that's my first statement. Pipe those results, and then put them into what? Take 10. So storm event, what is it going to do? Give me everything, 59,066, but I'm controlling that by what? I'm saying out of the 59,066 records that you're giving me, I'm interested in what? 10. So let's press run there or execute and see. It's giving you 2,000. Storm events, pipe. You don't put a pipe there.
No, on the first.
On the first database, it only gave you 2,000.
Now it's 10.
Now it's 10 because of take 10. Storm events, and then take 10, right? So you can see now we have take 10. We have take 10 now because of that pipe there. We have the pipe take 10. Storm events, pipe, and then take 10. Check here. So let's say the number of records there. Can you see? It says number of records. It shows us. It used to show us the time it took for it to retrieve this information. Where is that? Yeah, it does. It says done in how many minutes there? Can you see? It says hide empty columns, copy request ID, expand. So how many seconds? 1,484 seconds. So it might be different from all of us because maybe the network speed and whatever. This is so here's the thing. Storm event, we say, what does it do? It pulls, so the name, once you type in the name of the table, it will pull up what? Everything from the database. And then we say, okay, storm event, and then put a pipe, and then control it via what? The second statement, take 10. So out of the entire thing that you gave me, I'm interested in what? 10. Then it gave me that 10, right? So we get the idea. And then I want to show you something. I'm putting this on the next line just for what do you call, for readability purposes. Someone else might also put it in one line. Some people put it on one line. They say take 10. Put it, let's say take 15 there. Delete and put it in one line there. Now instead of 10, let's say take 15 there. We just want to put it in one line. The difference now is that we are no longer doing it in two different lines. I prefer using different lines because it helps me to read my statements. Because your statement will be longer than this later on. And then click run there after doing the check 15 there. You can see the time it takes to retrieve 15 and the time it takes to retrieve the entire database. It's different, right? Because when you just say storm event, it's going through the entire database, pulling the entire information. But with the Tech 10, Tech 15, it's just like randomly saying, okay, whatever I get, then pulls that. So the time is less. All right. So you can have people doing this, like you put another pipe there, do something else again, just in one line. But I don't prefer that. Let's go back to our way of doing it. Put it back on, pipe it there, Tech 10. I want to add more. So there are scenarios. Remember that side. We remember here. There are scenarios whereby you don't want to see all the columns. You don't want to view all the columns, right? You just want to see specific columns. So in Excel, I think we have done what you call the pivot tables, right? Pivot tables. I can do these pivot tables, choose which columns to view from this. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's say I'm interested in the order totals, order ID, order totals, and then cookie ID. And then you can see I'm choosing how many columns to see. It doesn't mean that this flat file only has how many 3 columns. No, it has more than those columns. I'm choosing which columns to view from that. So check, let me go back to this side. I can choose, I want to view this column, that column, that column, and then that column. You get the idea? So I can choose, instead of displaying the entire columns, I might want to only see what? Maybe 4 columns within that data. You get the idea? So let's go back to the database that side. So how many columns do we have? There are so many columns here, right? So maybe it's distorting my visuals. I can't really see clearly what I'm looking for. So I want to minimize that. I want to choose the specific columns. Get the idea? So instead of having this long flat file, you see, now I have to scroll all the way to the side, and then there's other data that I'm not interested in, which is controlling what I'm seeing now, is blocking the other data. So I want to choose. Let's do that this side. I want to put a pipe there. The scenario is clear what you're trying to do here, right? You can see now, for us to be able to see the entire thing, we have to drag to the other side. But are you interested in everything here? No, I'm interested in the few columns. So I want to see only those columns that I want. You get the idea? So we do a pipe, and then the word, can you see when I put a pipe and space there, it shows me different things that I can do, right? There is where, there is count, extend. I want project. I want to project. So project, the minute I click on project, you see what it does there. What is it bringing there? What is it bringing there? The different columns, right? It gives us the different columns. So now I can project. So projecting is meaning I am projecting, I'm choosing which columns to display on my screen. I don't want to display anything, so I'm projecting. Which ones do I want? Let's say we want a begin location. Where's begin location? I select begin location. Select a big, if like let's say it's not showing there on your side, you can even type it there, begin location. You can even type it there. The minute you start typing it, it will pull it up there. There's begin location. You see that? And then I want another column. But how do we then separate the columns? We separate them by a comma. Put a comma and then space. You see now, when you put a comma and space, it brings all the columns again. So the column that we're looking for is storm summary. Storm summary. Storm summary. Do we have storms? There it is there. I think it's the last column there. Okay, so let's say maybe the focus is on only these two. Let's leave it like that and then click on run. Okay. So you see how many columns we have now. The good And then there was a question in, I don't know what module is it, when it spoke about data manipulation. What's module 6? What is data manipulation, all of that? Data manipulation, this is where we are adding data into the database, we're editing data, deleting, removing data from the database, updating the database, right? So that is data manipulation. Right now, what we have managed to do is, how many columns do we have? Only 2 columns. Only 2 columns. We are able to see begin location and then storm summary. It doesn't mean that the database has only 2 columns, right? The database still has all those columns. It's just that on our visuals, we're interested in what? Only 2 columns. This is what we want. So the key is knowing these statements. Tag is for what? It just goes through your database. It takes a number that you've specified, right? It doesn't do it from what? Specific order, from what? Top 10. No, it doesn't do bottom 10. It just takes 10 from the database. And then projecting is for what? Choosing specific columns. You are choosing specific columns that you want to display, all right? So now this is data analytics. We're getting information about our database, right? So let's do this one more thing. So we can, at the end of the storm summary, we can add dot details. So can you see where it says description and all of that? There are commas. Can you see where there's details there on that database? So I want to clearly visually see these. Can you see details? I want to be able to see those details nicely. And then what else does it have? It has details and description. There's description. Can you see where it says details, description there? Yes. So put a dot at the end of storm summary dot. So what I'm doing now, there's a difference. When I'm separating columns, what am I using to separate columns? A comma. But when I'm drilling down into that specific column, what am I using? Full stop. So storm summary dot one details. Where are the details coming from? These option details there within the storm summary. So details dot, there's what? Description, right? I want more information about this. This is description. And then the color coding, it shows you in black, meaning that these are not columns. So these are not columns. These are sub details of this column. So I can click run and see how it displays it. Can you see now? I can easily read what's in there. Before it was difficult for us to read that, right? So here I wanted to show you how do we separate columns. We separate columns by what? A comma. And then when you want details of that column, going deep into that, drilling into that, narrowing down into that, we can use dot and then details and then description. Some will have only details, some will only have, you check what it has there and then you just dot that specific item. It will give you that information. So you can see begin location. So this is what happened within. I can even click the drop down arrow. It can give you more details, right? Can you see when I click the drop down, it says JPath there, begin location, inline, begin location, Melbourne Beach, and then storm summary details description. Can you see storm summary is the column, right? And then details, sub details description. A water sprout formed in Atlantic southeast of Melbourne Beach and briefly moved towards shore. So I'm getting the details of the storm. What happened here really? So there are details for that particular storm, right? So you can see how we can run this. Okay. All right, we can add more. We can add more. All right, let's do this. Here's the thing. There are people that are doing this job every day. That's when they wake up and go to work, their job is to analyze data, data analytics. This is what they do. Even Home Affairs, different government systems, they have databases. There are people that are reading that information from the database. They're not using Excel spreadsheets and all of that. They are using different databases. But the whole idea, once we change a database, right now we're focusing on Kusto query language. You will see when we change to another language called SQL. The languages are just like there to, we use languages to be able to write statements. So statements like this to read or pull information or query databases. SQL is another language that we use to read information from what? From an SQL database. So we want to, on the SQL side, we want to create our own database, start it from scratch, and then use our laptops to be databases, and then build it, and then retrieve information from there. But this one is an existing database that is on cloud. So this one is an other, so you need a platform. You will see on our side, we need an SSMS, which is going to be an RDBMS, a platform where we can write these scripts. So this is called what? RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. And then these are queries, these are statements. Some call it statements, these are queries. You need to know if you want only 10 items, what query are you writing? It says what? Tag. If you want to project, read specific columns, what are you writing? Project. If I want to top 10, when we come back from tea break, there are some scenarios whereby you only want to see the top 5, the top 10, because we say tech is for what? Random. No order, right? And then bottom 10, like you can want to do these things like that. We're going to focus on that after tea break. So let's take that 20 minutes break, and then when we come back, we focus on that.
Languages.
All right. Let's see what we got. All right, so we looked at display, right? We said display, not display per se. We said project allows you to choose which columns to display instead of displaying all columns from the storm events. All right, now we want to tweak this a bit. I want us to, the focus now is on us looking for what you call, want the top 5, right? So let's say storm events, pipe, and then we say top. So we have top 10, top 100, 1000, whatever you want. Or top begin latitude, top. So when I say top 5, let's say top 5. You see, when I say top 5, top space 5, and then space, it gives me options what I have. I have top 5 by a specific column. I have top 5 by percentage, top 5 by multiplication, and all of those, right? So I want to do a top 5 by. So a top 5 by, it says, I'm interested in the top 5, and then by, I'm specifying the column that would be my focus, right? So top 5 by, let's say, start time, but start time, right? Let's say start time. There is start time. And then put space there. So let me see if I can zoom in for the other guys to see. So I'm saying storm event. The first line is storm event, right? And then the second line we start with the pipe and then say top what? Top 5. But since we have so many columns here with this database, top 5 by what exactly? By which? What top 5 is focusing on what? Top 5 by what? Specific column, which is start time. And then when you say space, how do you want to do this? Top 5 by ascending or descending? So we want to start with descending. And then after descending, you can press enter, not now, press enter. Descending, I want to do another pipe. And then on this pipe, I want to project. I'm interested in specific. So you can see project, select the columns to include, all right? It can also rename columns, but for now, we just want to include, which one do you want to include? Let's say you want to include the start time column. I want the start time column. What other column do I want? End time column. Where is the end time column? And then I want to include the event type. So there's a column that is events, all the event types. And then event type. Event type, and then state. And then there's a column called event narrative, right? So the last option will be event narrative. So let me see if I can zoom in this for you. Let me say Control Shift plus. Something like that. Let's see. So storm event, and then top 5 by what? By my start time.
Yes, and there's space. Narrative. Event narrative.
What is analysis of collectible short skills? What one program we see last of last month?
Yeah, lunch tribe. Who said that? Okay. All right, storm events, and then top 5 by start time, and then you want to run that. Can you see it's giving us the start time by what? Descending order. Start time descending 23:53, all right? And then it says end time is the event type. So you can see we have different events: high wind, winter storm. There are so many events. There's just that our focus is on top 5. Let me see top 10 there. Let's see if I can get. You can see winter storm, high wind. All right, so we have different types of event types, and then all these events happen in different states, and then there's their narrative at the end. But the whole idea here was we're focusing on the new one. The new statement here is the top. So there are scenarios where you just want to do what? The top 5, the top 10. On our side, we've been focusing on the tag, randomly checking from the database or from the table. And then can you see the order? Now it's starting with 23:53 because it's descending. You can change that to ascending. Change descending to ascending order there, just to test these. Can you see the start time now is different from the end time, right? Sorry, the start time is different from the descending one, right? So you can see there. So you can do the top what by specific columns, top 10, bottom 10. Let me see if they do have. No, so if you want to see the bottom, we can say top, and then we choose it. We control by the ascending or the descending part. Then you see the last ones there. All right, so there is the new key here was the top. We're introducing top, and then we're introducing by. By is for what? Specifying a column, right? And then this last one is the order. What order do you want? Descending or ascending? So this one we're familiar with. So you're going to learn this one by one until you fully understand this. So now I want to do something. I want to introduce the new one, the other one called the way. The way, let me delete this and then leave the storm event. I want to say where storm events, show me the storm events where the storm summary details description has large trees. So storm events where there's a condition, right? I'm doing this based on a condition. Storm events where, and then it says which column do you want? Storm events pipe where I do have a condition now. What's your condition? My condition is that I want to display items where there is the word large trees. Let me see, and then the column for that would be storm summary. Where is storm summary? Where the condition saying, okay, I want to display items that are coming from storm summary. Remember we did this dot details, right? Dot details, dot description to see or to drill down into this. To the descriptions. Description. Why is it giving me red line? Details. Let's say yes. There's the word. Yeah, so between these, there's no commas, there's dots. Storm summary dot details dot description has. So here we are saying, I want item storm events. It will pull everything from the database storm events, right? And then the pipe will say where the condition is that I'm interested in this column, storm summary, but it should have the word large trees. Storm events gives me everything from the database. Pipe will say where the condition, where storm summary details description has the word large trees. And then I can run that. Are you also getting an error like me? Error operator failed to resolve table expression named here. Oh, on my side, oh, I didn't put a space there. So it read the where as here. Can you see there? It shows me, it says table operator failed to resolve the table expression. So the expression was wrong there. Let me run it again. So now you can see I do have that. Check. Space. Distribution. Description. Not the description. Description. Letter P. Just one. So you're recording it, mustn't it? Yeah, it is recorded, yeah. Storm event, pipe, where is a condition. You are saying, since I have so many columns, I want to pull from this specific column, storm summary, details, description. But the key is that, yes, since I am searching from which column, I'm searching from storm summary column. My interest is inside the storm summary, whatever information you are pulling from there, it should have the word what? Large trees. So you're specifying, okay, I'm interested in this column called storm summary, and then not everything coming from storm summary. The key is that it should have the word large trees. So you can see it should have that information of large trees. So let me expand on that. Let me just do this, push it down. You can see it gives me all that information, details, description, episode narrative. Can we see event narrative? There's the word large trees there. Where snapped off, and then let's see description. Can you see what says details? There's details dot description. Details dot description has the word large trees there. So it didn't display everything from this column, but it displayed everything that has the word what? Large trees. So let me search for another one there for you. Just for, let's say I go to this one, and then let's see what we got on this one. So if I scroll down on this one, if I go to, can you see where it says details description there? 6 large trees were blown down in the old Georgia road. Can you see? So it went down, searched this particular column, and then it was looking for this. So that's the power of the key of the word, what you call, of the way it says, I'm interested in this particular column, and then it gives us the keyword. We're saying out of this entire information, my keyword would be what? Large trees. So I need to have large trees for me. Premises. Okay. So, all right, so that command on its own has large trees. It acts as a filter again on our side. Bafethu, my certificate angaka bafethu. This year umsebenzi siyawuthola fast. That's the skills program. What else? Cisco Net. Once. All right, so check here, large trees, we're filtering, right? So the whole idea of the database, you just need to understand the statements, the language. What are we doing? So now I want us to do something. What the top 5 we're done with that. Large where storm events take 10 from that. Okay, how many? It gave us how many? 5 or 7. So you can now add your control there at the end also, where you say take 10, right? Or take 5. Let's say take 5. Then it will give me only those 5. So remind me around 3 there. We need to sign for tomorrow, right? So we're not coming tomorrow. So take 5. So it gives me only. Oh, the ones that are online that are not supposed to be online, they need to come in tomorrow and sign the register. Because if you don't sign the register, how am I going to? About Tabang, so Tabang Ageko today and tomorrow. That means you'll be absent 2 days. All right, so we have take 5. All right, so we understand that concept then. All right, I want to add one more thing, right? I want to add visual to this. I want to add, let me see if I can bring in. I want to add, there is one for called search. Okay, now let's say I'm interested only on events, right? So I said delete what we have and then storm event and then where. So when I use where again, where event type. Let me see if I can say event type. I want to see event types that have to do with flash flood only. Hi. Hi, how are you? All right. It's about what's up. It's about one name. Okay. All right, event type, so this is like, let's say maybe you're dealing with the home affairs data, where you can say, when you say when, let's say I'm looking for from the database. So maybe the only thing that I have is his name. I don't have his surname, right? So what I will do is I will say when, instead of saying event type, I'll say when here, maybe there's a column for name. I'll say where name, right? There's a column name is equals to, let's say, is it machine there? So let's say now I will say, let's say where last name. Let's say maybe I only have your last name, right? Let's say I only have someone's last name. So what I'm doing is I will say, let's say here maybe SA Citizen, maybe there's a database called or a table called SA City underscore SA Citizen. All right. So this is the name of that table within the home affairs database, where last name is equals to. What do you think will happen here if this is the home affairs database? What will it do now based on this? Right, it will pull up every machine from the database and display all of them, right? So it will do that. So coming back to our own database now, storm events where we're saying, I'm interested in the event type. Event type will say, what's our event type? We said flash flood. Let's say I'm interested. I want to see how many flash floods do we have, or what's happening with the flash flood, details of the flash flood. Right. So storm event where event type is equals to. So the two equal sign is to find a match is equal. So we're testing for equality. We're saying it must match this. So we call them the comparison. Sometimes some will have something like this. What do you call this? That and then equal sign. So it will. What do you think this one means? Oh, there's written already. So can you see what it says there? So it's giving me not equals to. So it will. What do you think it will do from this database? Not equal to flash flood. What will happen?
Flash.
So not equals to event type, it will give me all the available event types, but excluding what? Excluding the flash flood, right? So it will give, so, and then there are other comparisons again. Some they use, what is this? And then greater than, right? So it's for numbers, right? Like if there's a number at the end, they greater than a specific number, right? So it will, when a specific looking for numbers greater than 1,000, give me only items that are what? Greater than number 1,000. So anything less than that, it will not give you that. So there you will see all of these. There are something like this. Some not equals to can be done like this. You see, check there what it says. So you see what I was talking about, these things not being consistent. So this means not equals to, this means not equal to, and then also this means, also this means what? Not equals to, not equal to. That's a Boolean, right? I think there was a module where we was doing data types, Booleans, and all of those, right? All right, so right now, this one is for finding a match, right? Give me equal. Can you see if I mouse over it? It says equal. Exactly this. Let's see, let's check it out. No rows to show. Hey, that means there's nothing. Why I get to know your rows to show? I means finding something. Yeah. Where event type is equals to that, make sure that you type in capital A. That thing is case sensitive. I think it's case sensitive. Make sure that. No, somewhere. It's capital letter flash floods the. Oh, it says floods. You see now. Mm. So check the event types. They are flash flood. They gives you all the flash floods. So let's do a not equals to there and see what it does there. I want to do the not equals to using those greater than. For some, use that other not equal to. All right, so what I want us to do is, I want us to take pictures of what we are doing, put it on a Word document. When we're submitting the summative, we submit that as a practical on the side. I'm asking a screenshot of the different script that we've been writing, the different results. So you can see this will give me what? These results, right? So just have the Word document open on the side, and the good part is it keeps your name there at the top. Can you see?
Yes.
So there's no way you can use someone else's work. It keeps your name is there at the side. So you can't copy. So I want to see your name there. Don't go crop. Your name should be there. So now you see what I mean. Now here are the results. I need to see the script. I've written the script. There are the results. My name is at the top there. I take a screenshot of the entire page, put it on what? On Word document, and then we're gonna all the scripts that we're gonna be doing going forward. We do that, and the ones that we've done before, we're gonna do the same thing. So, all right, now, can you see now, event type, it went through, there are floods, there are heavy rains, there's thunderstorm wind, winter storm, drought, but there is no flash flood, right? It's excluded the flash flood. It excluded the flash floods. All right. I want to show you the visuals. Sometimes we can visualize this. We can even visualize this. Oh, okay. Let's say now I want to show you something there. Let me put an equal. Let's put those equal signs again there, and then right at the top there, I want to add a new line there. I want to add a new line. I want to summarize this. So there are scenarios where, can you see where it says summarize? It says produces a table that aggregates. So summarize, it goes and counts the items. So I want to summarize the number of flash floods that happened. So count by the event types. And then where event type, let me see if that will run, or it will give me an error. So right now, I'm interested in what? I'm interested in counting. What am I counting? The number of event types which are flash floods. I want to know how many were there that happened in total. How many flash floods did we get in total? So I want so again, I think the first screenshot that should appear on your Word document of screenshots there, I want the one that shows the total of the records, 59,066 records. and then the rest, the other scripts can follow after that. The other pictures can follow after that. Does it make sense what I'm saying, right? So the first screenshot should be the one that shows the total number of records within the storm events, right? So it will be just one line, storm events, and then gives you everything. And then the rest that comes after that, I don't care what order it is. It can be different scripts. Storm events, right? Yeah. So I want to see the first screenshot should be storm events, yeah. So take a picture of these, also needs to be added there on our on your screenshots. All right. So we see the total there, right? The total of flash floods. We can even change the what other flash floods did we see there? What other event type did we see? There was another one for drought, ne? How do you spell drought? I remove G. GHT. So DRAU, is that correct? No? Yes? A instead of O. All right, let's see now. You see, drought is 3,616. All right, I missed the class yama spellings in high school, so yama spellings are shy, I know. So, it's been a minute, ne? And then these days now we're relying on the what you call the autocomplete. Ne? We don't have to type in the spellings complete. It completes for us. All right, so you get the idea then. You can let me just do this. Let me delete that and then only see where it says event types. Check now if I remove the filter. If I remove the filter, I'm seeing the actual numbers for different events, right? You get the table for different events. So I removed the last line of filter there. Instead of filtering by a specific event type like tornado, heavy rain, drought, hail, I've removed that. So it's now showing me what? So volcanic ash, 1, tropical storm, 32, dense smoke, 3, marine high wind, 1, freezing fog. So you can see we have, all right. So before you switch to another statement, you take a picture of that, screenshot that, you move to another results, you take a screenshot of that. So you can see how many total number of event types do we have? 46 different events, right? 46 in total. So it shows it went through and then pulled all the different records.
Even the ones that we started with the take, 5, take.
Yeah, we can also do all those, right? All right, you will do that. Like now, I want to wrap up something. So we have storm event summarize count by event type, right? So I want to, sometimes you might want to see visuals of these, right? Like put it in a, what you call, in a chart. Let me see if I can still remember how to plot this into a chart.
Top 5. Top 10.
So here, I just want to do this. Let's say, okay, I want to render this into a chart now. Let's say, what chart can I use? Let's start with the bar chart. Ooh, the bar chart doesn't look nice. Too much. Oh, in order, let's say, let me just do, let me control this by, because it's showing me everything. Let me just say top 5. Let me say top 10 and render. Not okay. If I say, let's say, oh, top. Let me see if that will work. Okay. You can see now, at least I'm limiting that, right? Because it was too much now. I can even give this a title, you know, say event type visuals. So here the idea is that with the database, you can do as much as you want. You can control these visualize. Okay, that's this. We say storm events summarize count by event, right? So if I also control this to say only show me what you call this top 5. Top. Okay. So I need to see the visuals also on your data set.
After we shall wait. We shall get you way to get that.
All right, so we what else do we need now? All right, check here now on this where it says render or render. We're talking about different charts, right? This is a bar chart. What other charts do we have? Fly chart. Pie chart, right? A line chart. Let's do the pie chart there. And see. So you can see, it looks like on the pie chart, it comes out clearly. You can clearly see, okay, winter storm takes like the 43% of that, of these types of storms. And then we have winter weather there, 48%, wildfire, water sprouts. So you see, volcano for some, yeah, on your side. What did you say? Top what? Is it a top 10? Top 5. So you get all these details about these items. You can see tornado. All right. So yes, I need to see the visuals. I need to see these screenshots of the visuals that you can. So with the database, data analytics, there's nothing hectic. You need to learn your Excel, you need to learn your SQL, you need to learn Python, a bit of Python. You need to learn your Power BI Tableau. Then you are a data analyst. And I was studying hard, like you don't work hard. This is what you do. You're getting insights from the data, learning, sending it to your bosses, and then that's it. They decide what needs to be done. Companies, they're just paying your company just for insights, like for trends, for picking up anything. The company is for them to come up with a new product. They do some research and all of this from the people to find out, okay, will this be successful? Before they even run it, you are the one doing the data analytics on that, analyzing what are the people saying, the findings and all of this until you get the report, send the report to your boss, then. So IT is broad. You sometimes might want to be data analytics side. Sometimes you want be a developer, sometimes cybersecurity. So it's up to you. And you are the one who determines how much you get paid based on what you choose there, like you still based on also your study as you go. Because the minute you master these, in future, there might be a new technology that comes in. Already you know some of the things. That new technology is built upon the existing technology. Already what's existing, you know. So you're just learning new things. You are in. Whatever amount they're paying for that particular. So for me, over the years, it's just been chasing whatever is current, whatever is new. you study that. The good part is whatever new that they're bringing in, you already know it because it's built upon the existing technologies. So we started when doing the cloud computing, we moved to Oracle. We studied Oracle in and out. We understood Oracle. We worked for companies doing Oracle cloud computing. And then Oracle Yawa. We moved to Microsoft. Microsoft dominating now. Companies in South Africa, they were looking for people that have Microsoft. We didn't have certificates under Microsoft, but we had certificates under what? Under Oracle. From Oracle, we switched to what? Microsoft. When we switch it to Microsoft, already we know Oracle, and then it's just cloud. Microsoft is just like they're naming their infrastructure, giving it different names, but it's the same with what we were doing all along. So 50% or 70% we already know. We're just familiarizing ourselves with the names. Now, Microsoft is no longer the big thing anymore in terms of like South African infrastructure. Amazon is coming in. Companies were busy looking for people that have AWS certificates. If you ask me, AWS certificate, it took me 2 weeks to study for the AWS certificate because what am I learning? New terms. Cloud infrastructure, networking is still the same. I know networking in and out. AWS, 2 weeks, I get the certificate. Companies are looking for someone who has done this. I'm like, I've been in the cloud industry for quite some time. You get that job, it's easy. You're just keeping on. The problem is that you always constantly study. You will never stop studying. The minute you stop studying, you become obsolete, you become useless. Because what you know is Oracle. Who's still using Oracle? The few companies. There is the competition or the usage of Oracle is different now compared to 5 years, 6 years ago. So it's just updating yourself. You are the one who decide how much do I want to get paid? How relevant do I want to be? Whatever is new, I switch to that. Same with programming languages. The people, there was COBOL, which was the old programming language. There are so many old programming languages. So as the technology change, adapt, switch. If you're moving from Python, if you take me to JavaScript, I already know Python. Java it's not that difficult because I have the fundamentals knowledge of programming. When I'm switching to another language, so when you switch, you already have knowledge of the previous technology. Yes, you will study, but what are you studying? 30% of that new technology, because the rest is built upon existing technology. But so that's SQL, that's Crystal Query, I mean. So I want to stop this recording. I want to do something SQL. Let me see. Okay.